No, we don't have time today, unfortunately, due to the 30-minute class period. So, all right, let's try this again. All right, so for those of you who are listening at home, what we're doing today is coming up with common denominators for statements. We're taking statements that are structured differently and bringing them into one standard structure so that we can analyze them against one another. So that's what we're doing today. We're learning how to translate a statement into what we're going to call standard form. And to translate a categorical statement into standard form means that the statement uses the verb of being instead of an ordinary verb. So grammar is going to be a big part of our day today and for the rest of the term. What are some examples of the verb of being? Am, is, are, were, will be, etc. That is what the verb of being. So every one of these categorical statements, your verb must be the verb of being. Reed, do you have a piece of paper? So your verb must be the verb of being. We're going to translate categorical statements into this form so that we can then analyze them using categorical logic. So let's look at how we do this. And I'm going to tell you right now, the process for doing this is very, very simple. The outcome of doing this is going to sound really, really weird, and that's okay. So here is our three-step procedure for changing statements into standard form. So let me give you a categorical statement. My dog eats dandelions. Now, please notice, that's not a question. That's not a command. That's not nonsense. That's a statement. It's either true or false. My dog eats dandelions. So step one is this. Identify and write down the entire subject. Now, I know Mr. Lightheart has talked to you in grammar class about how you can have a simple subject. What's the simple subject of my dog eats dandelions? Being dog. But I want you to write down the entire subject, which is my dog. Okay? So the first step that you're going to do is you're going to identify and write down the entire subject, my dog. Step two, choose the proper to be verb. Now, how do you choose the proper to be verb? First, it should match the subject in number. So my dog, is that singular or plural? Singular. So the verb should be singular. And second, it needs to match the old verb in tense. Eats dandelions. Is that past, present, or future? Present. So what I need is the singular present form of the verb to be, and that is the word is. So my dog is, and now here comes the weird part. It's going to take a while to get used to. Rewrite the entire predicate as a predicate nominative. Now, here's what you really need to keep in mind. Your sentences need to end in nouns. So how we're going to do that is we're going to take my dog eats dandelions. We're going to say my dog is a dandelion eater. So what I did is I took the verb eats and I made it into a noun, eater. Now, a way for you to kind of keep these in mind is the original statement and the statement you come up with have to have the same meaning. You're not changing the meaning. You're just rearranging the words. So my dog eats dandelions and my dog is a dandelion eater have the exact same meaning. So I'm not taking words out. I'm not leaving words out. I'm simply rearranging them into a standard form. So my outcome is going to be my dog is a dandelion eater. So every categorical statement that you're going to have for the rest of the semester has the same three parts in the exact same order. You've got the subject, my dog. The subject should be immediately followed by the helping verb to be, whichever the right form is, and then a predicate nominative, dandelion eater. My dog is a dandelion eater. Now, again, that's not a very complicated process. You're going to come up with some pretty weird sentences. But that means you probably did it right. Because certainly if you turned in a paper for Mr. Lightheart that said my dog is a dandelion eater, he would put a big red line through that, hand it back to you and say, reword that sentence. That's awkward. Yes, it is. But for logic, that's exactly what we're going for. Subject, to be verb, predicate nominative. Okay. Any questions about that process? Sally? Why? Why do we do this? So that every statement that we analyze is arranged in the exact same order so that we can then compare them against each other and make sure that they're saying what we want them to say. And we can say, okay, well, if that's true, then that must be false. And if that's false, that must be true. Because the next thing we're going to learn, Lord willing, is what we call the square of opposition. And in order for us to use the square of opposition, we have to have them all in the same form. Okay, so this gets us able to actually compare statements and start making statements. Ooh, that's true, that's false. And that actually is helpful. All right, so let's do some of these together. Popcorn explodes. I'm going to pick on Vale. Vale, what is the entire subject of that statement?
Popcorn.
Popcorn. Okay, correct. All right. Popcorn explodes. First, is popcorn singular or plural?
Popcorn.
Like as a unit.
It's
singular. Okay, it's singular. Explodes. Is that past, present, or future? It's present. So what's the singular present form of the verb to be? Is. Popcorn is. Now take the word, the verb explodes. Explodes is a verb. Turn that into a predicate nominative. And I'll give you a little hint. You can add words to make this work. Okay, so you could say popcorn is an exploder. I don't think that exploder is an actual word. I wouldn't count that wrong if you said that, because you got the right idea. But how can I use real existing words, Anna?
Slower upper.
No, I don't want to change the word. It says explodes, Weaver.
Is an explosion.
Popcorn is an exploding thing. So what you're going to do is you're going to find basically as nondescript a word as possible to add in to make it work, right? Popcorn is an exploder. It's not actually a real word, although that was pretty close. But we would say popcorn is an exploding thing, okay? And again, think about this. Does the sentence popcorn explodes and popcorn is an exploding thing mean the exact same thing? Yes. It's just worded differently, but they mean the exact same thing, and now we've got it in standard form. Bean?
So basically, if you're going to add a word, that's be like super general.
Yes, super general. So we'll talk about that more in the next lesson, but yes, you can add words. You don't always have to, but if you need to add a word like thing or person, because that's still a noun, right? Thing is still a noun, so I'm still ending with a noun, okay? Sellers, do you have a question? Okay. Popcorn is an exploding thing. Let's do another one. Wilder. The man tap dances wildly. What is the subject, the entire subject of that sentence? The man. Okay, is that singular or plural? Singular. Tap dances, is that past, present, or future? Present. What's my singular present form of the verb to be? Jackson? Is. The man is. Okay. Wilder. Tap dances wildly. Make that into a predicate nominative. It needs to end with a noun.
Is wildly tap dancing?
Tap dancing is still a verb. So you're almost there. The man is. Sellers, do you want to help him out?
The man is a wild tap dancer.
Bingo. The man is a wild tap dancer. So notice we took the verb tap dances and we made it into a noun, tap dancer. We took the adverb wildly and we made it into an adjective, wild. So the man tap dances wildly becomes the man is a wild tap dancer. So if you'll, again, it's all about process and logic. Just work that process. Okay, what's the subject? What's the verb? Predicate nominative. Boom, boom, boom. Ask those right questions, put it in the right order, and that's all you got to do. All right, one more. Weaver, the wolf ate Red Riding Hood. What is the entire subject? The wolf. All right, is the wolf singular or plural? Ate, is that past, present, or future? Past. So what's my singular past form of the verb to be? Was. The wolf was. Okay, ate Red Riding Hood. Turn that into a predicate nominative. Okay, you could say that, or even better would be the wolf was a Red Riding Hood eater. Okay, now again, there's going to be more than one right answer. So if Weaver wrote the wolf, what'd you say?
The wolf was
An eater of Red Riding Hood, that would be totally fine. Or you could say the wolf was a Red Riding Hood eater. Either way, we're ending with a noun. It's a predicate nominative. Yes?
Could you say the wolf was eating Red Riding Hood?
Was eating Red Riding Hood? No, because the only verb that can be in here is the verb to be. So no other verbs can be in this sentence, okay? So just I'm gonna say that again for those of you who didn't hear me. The only verb that can be in these statements is the form of the verb to be. So you've got to change all the other verbs. You can't just leave them out. You got to turn them into nouns, okay? So you can't say eating Red Riding Hood because eating is a verb. Yes.
So present would be like am is are, and then like
So
future is like will be.
all right. I am, you are, we were, I was, we will be, I will be, right? So like those are the kind of verbs that we're working with. The verbs, the forms of the verb to be, and those will be the ones you use most often. Am, are, is, were, will be, okay? Any other questions about this process? All right, and again, these are awkward sounding statements, but they are easier to work with down the road. And I'm not even going to tell you that last thing because it's not super important. So let me go over your homework assignment for tonight, and you have the rest of the class, which is 12:55, which is almost a little over 10 minutes to work on this. All right, so it's two pages back, one page back and front. All right. For numbers 1 through 10 on exercise 11, it says rewrite each sentence using no verbs but the verb of being. So Hannah Duncan's going to do this one for us. So number 1 says John eats turnips. Hannah, what is the entire subject of this sentence?
Eats.
The entire subject.
Oh, John.
John. Okay. Is John singular or plural?
Singular.
Is eats past, present, or future?
It's present.
Present. So what's my singular present form of the verb to be?
Is being.
Is. Just is. Okay. John is. Now turn eats turnips into a predicate nominative.
Is a turnip eater.
Bingo. Is a turnip eater. Now, I hope that you've noticed a pattern, and if not, I'll make it really obvious to you. One of the easiest things for you to do is to take the verb and add an ER to it. You don't have to do that, but that's almost always going to be the first thing you should try. John eats turnips. John is a turnip eater. The man tap dances wildly. The man is a wild tap dancer, right? So we're going to make that into a noun by adding the ER and changing the form of the word. Yes?
Should it be like a preposition? Like John is an eater of turnips?
An eater of turnips. So as long as it's a predicate nominative, so we got a noun phrase, and so here's what I'll tell you, sellers. It would be much better, it'll be easier for you down the road if the last word is a noun and it's a noun phrase. So John is a turnip eater is a better answer than John is an eater of turnips, but I wouldn't mark that one wrong. Okay, but John is a turnip eater is a better answer because that's going to line up with the other statements better than the other way. Okay, but the thing to remember is your statement can only have one verb, the form of the verb to be, and your statement needs to end with a noun. And if you'll keep those things in mind, piece of cake. Open up your book to page 131. All right. So on the back, I've drawn 8 lines for you here, and it says for page 131, where it says additional exercises for lesson 8. It's the exact same instructions on the front side of the page. They're giving you 8 statements, and they're asking you to translate these into standard form, and you're going to do that, and you're going to write your answers down right here on the back of this piece of paper, okay? So you just need this, and then turn over to the back, and you're going to write the answers for page 131, additional exercises, lesson 11, right here in the back of this piece of paper. Any questions? Okay, I'm going to give this to you. I want you to work by yourself in dead, quiet silence. Don't speak at all for 7 minutes. After 7 minutes, if you have questions, you can ask me. But when I give you this, do not start asking your neighbor. Don't speak. I want you to try this on your own first for 7 minutes. And then if you have questions after 7 minutes, and you've looked at your notes, you've looked at your textbook, you've thought really hard about it, then you can raise your hand and maybe somebody else has that same question, and I'll answer it for you. But I want 7 minutes of working in complete silence. All right, 7 minutes from now.